Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody. This is Mr. Shakespeare here on the 14th of September 2022. And we've been asked to have another probe into Charles, now King Charles III, in fact. So, hi, Liz, how are you doing? And can you grab Charles?
Yes, I have him here. I'm doing okay. I was watching her leave Buckingham Palace this morning, our time, afternoon, your time. And, it was sad, but yeah, I've got him here. I can feel the sadness behind him, actually. It's like this black cloud of grief, and I can feel it. He didn't have to stay, some people probably fantasize about the day that they become king, okay? I mean, you know what I mean by that? Like, oh, someday I'm going to be king and it's going to be this and it's going to be that. I don't feel he ever fantasized about the day he would become king. I feel like he really dreaded this day.
Yeah, probably. Some people are very good at being number two and not necessarily at being number one. So, yeah, I get the same impression. He was never that. I mean, he knew the day would come, but he was never that bothered about it. So, I mean, the longer his mother stayed around, I would imagine it was better for him. So, anyway, so we've got to clear up a few things with Charles. Lots of information now is coming out. Obviously because he's now king. So does he plan to do any major changes to the monarchy or anything?
Not at the moment. Do you have plans to do that? No, he does not have any plans to do that. Now, bearing in mind, he is currently at Westminster Abbey holding a service for his mother, and I'm actually dipping into his subconscious. So these are his personal thoughts and feelings as of right now while this service is taking place. This is before the body is lying in state for visitors to come, past, and it will be lying in state until Monday. They may be the first ones to stand guard on the body whilst it is lying in state in London. But as we are doing this mind probe right now, he's currently singing hymns and participating in a service for his mother. So at the moment, it's almost like he's telling me I'm taking one day at a time. And bearing in mind, he is not making decisions. They are not the decision makers as to what they do. They are heavily influenced by historians, military leaders. There's a whole team of people behind them that are basically saying, okay, this is what we do. This is tradition. He is advised what to do. That's what this is all about. Even as they were walking in the procession this morning and they got to certain historical points upon the route. Now, this was just a few minutes ago. I was watching this. And, the military turned and saluted. I think it wasn't the cenotaph. Do you know what that would have been? I don't believe it was the cenotaph. It was another memorial. But they saluted. And then I noticed Harry and Andrew, they had to bow their heads. I mean, because, they've obviously, Andrew has resigned from the military, but Harry had his military thing stripped from him. I mean, they are so conditioned and told what to do. And that's what I feel is going on. He's waiting for the next advice. It's that they're going through the motions of what they're told to do. Now, there are no plans at the moment to change anything within the monarchy.
Okay. Is he still a member of the World Economic Forum?
No, all of that now ceases to exist since he became king. All of those memberships, all of that, unless it's a charitable membership, he cannot be affiliated with it.
Does he hold, but he might not be affiliated with it, but is he going to hold to their beliefs, or,
See, this is the thing. He thinks it's a good thing. So you believe that there's good in the World Economic Forum? Yes. I'm afraid that he's looking at the world through rose-tinted glasses here.
Okay.
Do you believe the monarchy would survive if the World Economic Forum was running the place? No, he doesn't. He doesn't believe the monarchy would survive. They would be ousted right on out of there, and the wealth would be stripped from them. Now, that is something he has thought about.
So why is he still believing in them then?
Why do you still believe in them? For right now, okay, this is an honest and thoughtful answer, okay, that he's giving us. For right now, they're not doing any harm to anyone. But if obviously their agenda is given a lot more power, then that changes things. And he said, I have a right to change my opinion about things, right? So he's quite opinionated about that.
Okay, what about his previously held or still held green agenda that he was that he used to talk about a lot? Not recently, but he used to talk about it.
Right, the environmental work, and I know he did a lot of environmental things. Are you still going to push your green agenda? No, he cannot do that anymore. He's saying, I cannot do that. I have to stay neutral. I now cannot have an opinion. I'm not allowed to voice my opinion whatsoever. I now have to keep in this like solitary confinement, this solitude. And I'll be honest with you, what I'm picking up here, he's not too happy about that. He says, when you become king, you become their identity, right? As in the people. And you are no longer your own person. You are no longer your own identity, right? That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But his mother did a tremendous job over the last 70 years. So, I mean, she certainly managed it, didn't she?
Yes, but he's saying, but she had to lose her own personal identity because of it. And he's very much against that, right? He's very much he likes to be his own person. She played the part, but also he's saying to me, she was born in a different time. She was raised in a different time. The royal family were untouchable, right? Now we have to be seen as for the people. So he has to mold himself now to be whatever the people want him to be, right? His personal identity, as soon as his mother died, it has been stripped from him.
Yeah, I would concur with that. Yeah, I can.
And it's these mind probes. That's why they're so fascinating, because we get a glimpse into how they feel about their own situation. We, the public, we're looking at this like, oh, well, they're so privileged and they're so this and they're so that. And yes, they are so privileged. I would not mind broadcasting every day from a room in Buckingham Palace, I can assure you. But do you think that I would be allowed to? No. But it's actually very interesting to me about his identity being stripped. That's it now. He's done. And he's saying, I am so glad that for 73 years, I was allowed to somewhat be myself.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. It makes total sense, actually, thinking about it. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think that's enough of an insight for now. I think this is something that we could return to perhaps in, within a month, say.
Oh dear. Okay. Well, I did want to ask a few questions, if that's okay.
Oh well, you go ahead, Liz. Yeah.
I'll be my own.
I'm not actually sure what else to ask him at the moment. If you have some questions, you go ahead, Liz.
Oh my goodness. Well, okay, I'll host my own show. Oh dear. Let's see. So I actually wanted to ask. I wanted to move King Charles out into the future and see what changes have been made. Is that all right? Is everybody good with that?
Well, no, that's a good point. Yeah, let's get him out to that. Yeah, okay.
I would be interested to know if he lasts longer than 10 years. Okay, so how far out should we go? Now, bearing in mind, everyone who's listening, and this will probably bring in a lot of new listeners, this is going to give us an overview of his current timeline, okay?
Well, let's do 5 years then. 10's a bit far.
Okay, let's do 5. So let's go. Maybe we shouldn't hit the anniversary of all this passing. So let's go.
No, but okay, 5 years and 2 months or something,
Okay, so let's go November 15th.
So let's do November 15th, 2027.
Okay, so November 15th, 2027, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, what would you like to know?
What would I like to know?
And let's ask him how his health is doing.
Well, I could ask him that. Yeah. How is your health? How's the health of the king?
It's in decline. Now, see, I suspected this because, I don't see him living as long as his mother. In fact, if he makes it to 85, we'll be lucky. And my husband this morning was sitting here going, no, Liz, they have a longevity gene. And I'm like, no. On the female side, they do. I don't feel like it's on the males.
Okay. Well, he'll be he's 73, so he'll be 78 now, then in 5 years' time. I'm assuming he is still king.
Are you still king? Are you still the king? Yes, he's still here. But as he's talking to me 5 years out, his voice is very weak and frail. When somebody elderly and their voice is not strong, it's very weak, it's very frail. They seem frail. It's hard to talk like how we're talking now. That's what I'm getting. I'm telling you, his health is in decline. Is Camilla still around? Yes, she's still there and she's quite healthy. What about Harry? No, he's still living is he still in the USA? He left. I don't know if he's still living in the USA. Is he still? And as I'm probing him out 5 years, I can feel a serious mental decline.
Has there been talk of, whether he should step down in favor of William? Is there any talk about that now in 5 years' time?
No. So what I'm getting very strongly, is that at this time, 5 years out, he is being like shrouded. You know what I mean? He's not venturing out in public very much. The last thing they want is for the public to realize that the king is frail.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense.
He's not well. He's stooped. He's not eating very much, mind you. I don't believe he eats much anyway at the moment. Do you eat much at the moment? No, he doesn't eat very much. He's very, very little. He does like a drink or two in the evening. But he is, do you work out? No, he does not work out. I don't know any of the royals that work out other than, William told me the other day that he needed to get fit. And maybe Harry's starting to work out, but I don't feel like on the whole that they work out.
Okay. What other questions do you have for me so I can ask him in the future?
You're so funny. Well, you could ask him whether Harry and Meghan are still married. Are Harry and Meghan still married? No. You see, now I predicted that a long time ago. I said that they would have 2 children and that they would end up being divorced. Now, I feel that Meghan and Harry at this point are split. Have they officially divorced? Maybe not officially divorced yet. They're trying to make it as comfortable for the royal family as possible, because obviously when that happens, all hell's going to break loose. I feel like they're paying her a lot of money, hush money. But when that divorce finally does happen, it will be revealed and it will be nasty. So are they living separately? Yes, they're living separately. What about Kate and William? They're still together? Yes. He really, when I said Kate and William, his whole demeanor sort of changed. Like he really, really has a lot of faith in Kate and William. He says they're beautiful people. Well, how do you feel about Harry? He's a lost cause. So he's trying his best at the moment on today's date, which is, September 14th, 2022. I still have him out in the future, but today's date, he is trying his best to bring them back into the family unit. And he believes that this is an opportunity over his mother's funeral to include them and to try to rein them back in. But did that happen now looking back in 2022, around the time of the funeral, when you were trying to rein them back in, did you succeed? No, it was an absolute disaster. Did she go running back to America and blab? Yes, she did. So there you go.
Okay. How's the UK economy doing? Does he know?
How's the UK economy doing? It's still pretty bad. Even 5 years out. Now, that will coincide with a lot of the probes that we've done. And of course, everybody, I know you're like, oh, you're maybe asking the same questions, but we're looking for consistencies, because that consistency is very important. It's still in decline. The UK economy has not recovered. Did the pound manage to recover? Yes, somewhat. Is it back up to at least $1.30 to the pound? I still feel it's holding between $1.20 and $1.30 to the pound. That is not good, people. That is not good. It's like $1.15 today. That's the lowest I've ever known it.
Okay. What happened to Liz Truss?
What happened to Liz Truss? Absolute disaster, he says. Glad to get rid of her. How many prime ministers have you seen now? So he's on his second one now. So he's dealt with Liz Truss, and now he has another one.
When did she go? Which year was that?
What year did Liz Truss leave? Was it 2023? No, 24.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's the next election. Okay. What's happened in Euroland, in the EU? Is he aware of what's going on in Europe?
He thinks, this is his own personal thought, feeling, and opinion. He thinks Europe's a disaster.
Okay.
Now, you will never hear him say that in public, people. I just want you to know these mind probes are his own personal thoughts and feelings. He is not going to have an opinion now in the press, right? As soon as the Queen passed away, you saw the slogan come out, never complain, never explain. And that pretty much sums up the royal family.
Okay. Has he had much interaction with Europe on an official scale, or?
No, no. He goes to these events and he makes a speech or two, or he's seen there. The speeches are all carefully written in a very diplomatic way. He can have no opinion now whatsoever. So he'll go to events, they'll come to his for events, but that's about it.
What about America? What's happened to America?
He's like, it's gone to total ruin. Which you can just hear him say that, right? Now, he's not speaking economically.
No.
I think he's speaking politically.
Okay.
I was looking at this morning, right, as most of us were. And I know a lot of people are anti-royal. I get that. But I was thinking today when I heard the commentators, and they were explaining the landmarks and the history and the reason behind this and the reason for the blue sash. And it's actually a preservation of history, which is something we just don't have over here in the USA. We don't have this preservation of history. You know, the royal family now, they weren't so much before Diana, but now they're really moving with the times, right? And so you can capture what was going on in the time based upon the royals. And, you know, if it's one thing that you should be grateful of, is the fact that they do manage to encapsulate history and capture it and keep that historical marker. Here in the USA, we're very bad at keeping history. I mean, we don't preserve it very well at all. Like, you know, you have all the land trusts over there, you have your historical sites and things like that. Here, it's very, very complicated. It's just, you know, it's not preserved. There's no real major preservation societies and appreciation societies that manage to save these historical markers. I mean, for instance, where I live, okay, there was quite clearly an old house that was occupied in colonial times, right? And somebody paid $15,000 and it was completely knocked down. The house had no plumbing. It was a wooden, you know, a wooden slatted house. It was falling apart. Nobody bothered to preserve that for the area, right? They just, somebody built over it. You know, they bought it for 15 grand. They knocked it down and now they're putting a big house on there. So that's the type of things, those are the type of things we see here in the US. Whereas in the UK, you always can look back on the royals and really get into the history. We need a lesson in that over here. Now, people will dispute me on that, but I've actually, you know, being British, I grew up in the States, so I've had that benefit of seeing that over here, but I also lived in the UK for a very long time and worked for the police in the UK, so I understand how important it is to preserve things. It's just not done over here.
Okay.
Trying to put a positive spin on the royal family. They have to earn their keep somehow.
No. I mean, there's what Britain does best, and what the royal families are a symbol of is somebody encapsulated, and it's called pomp and circumstance. And that's what we do the best. I mean, because we can trace, you know, royals or the royal family, which isn't the same royal family we have now are not the same as before. But the fact that we have a monarch, a king, a queen, or whatever, you know, that goes back so many hundreds of years. You know, most countries don't have that. Now, there is a lot of people that don't want that anymore and don't see the purpose of it. But interestingly, there's things come up about Scotland. So Scotland, through their leader, Nicola, what's her name, Sturgeon.
Sturgeon, yeah.
Yeah, so they've been, you know, banging the independence drum for a long time, which I don't believe most Scottish people actually want. I mean, she might want it, but she wants to get back, you know, into the EU or something. But the fact that, you know, the coffin and everything was done in Scotland first, because that's where Balmoral is, and you only have to see the massive, massive, massive support for the royal family and the Queen and everything in Scotland to know that, you know, they want to be part of the British Isles, the UK. You know, they don't want independence. So, you know, that was a very telling thing. I'm wondering whether she went to Balmoral deliberately. I mean, she knew her advancing ages, so her age, and I'm wondering if that was a deliberate thing. But if it was,
let's ask her. So I have the Queen here. Did you go to did you want to die in Balmoral? That was pure coincidence. She wanted to be in Balmoral. She wasn't feeling well. She wanted to be in a place where she felt at home. I don't feel like she ever felt at home in the palace. She couldn't relax in the palace.
No, I think she preferred Balmoral out of all of her.
Are you glad you passed in Scotland? Yes, she's very pleased because her answer is here saying that it makes Scotland more part of the UK. So actually it was favorable for her passing, just like you said. But as far as was it planned? No, it was pure coincidence.
Oh, okay. Well, it was a coincidence or not, planned or not. It turned out to be the right decision.
Yes. Are you happy? She's very happy where she is. She didn't want to be in that failing body anymore. It was, she didn't want to be a vegetable. She didn't want to end up bedridden for years to come. She thought her passing was absolutely perfect. It was the right time to go. She's telling me she held on for the Jubilee, and then after the Jubilee, she made that milestone, and she felt it was a reasonable time to let go. So I can agree with her on that. Absolutely.
So can I.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, 96. But will Scotland ever gain their independence? Okay. Will they gain their independence in the next 100 years? No. So her first answer was yes, Scotland will gain their independence, but it won't be within the next 100 years. It's going to be way on out there.
Okay.
What is interesting, and I had to do this, because I can always see people's future lifetimes as well as their past lives. And she has actually had a couple of past lives as queen before, right?
Wow.
Yeah, she has. And going into her next lifetime, right? Because we recycle through our offspring. And for those of you that don't have children, you will then recycle into a soul family somehow, or most probably through nieces and nephews. Okay. However, for her, I said, will you be queen again? And she says, no, that was it. That was her one lifetime. That was it. That was the last lifetime of being queen. And she is actually going to recycle back in or reincarnate through Harry and Meghan's lineage. So that's going to be a very, very interesting upbringing for her next time, because Meghan will actually be her great grandmother.
Right.
You don't sound impressed by that at all.
Liz, it's above my pay grade.
So I'm sure lots of people.
It's interesting, but obviously we won't be around, so it's all.
Well, we will. We will be around, but not in this body in this present lifetime.
That's what I meant. Yeah. Not. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Right.
Maybe they'll think of me as like the modern day Nostradamus, and they'll pick up on my videos, and then hopefully one day, will you be female? Yes, she'll be female, and she'll hear my video and know that she was once the queen.
Wow.
That's why it's important to document your history, folks. You know, I mean, even if it's your own personal history, you will reincarnate. You may be reading your own history book that you have written in the past, and you may know that you were that person. So it's really important.
Yeah, that was good. Okay.
Well, we can always revisit King Charles.
I think we should in about 3 or 4 weeks when he's settled down a bit, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Because right now, I think the service I can feel is just finished. I don't have any TVs or anything on in my room, but I feel like it's finished. And he's a bit more relaxed. And, you know, he knows he has a duty to be king, but he wouldn't abdicate because he feels like that would be a total insult to his mother and his upbringing, right? He would never insult his parents that way. But as far as like this, clawing and scratching to be king, no, not even close. Not even close.
I've never felt that about him. Never. So.
All right. Well, let's stop this one here. I hope the fans like it. Drop us a comment. Again, if you want a reading with me, psychiclizcross.com. And you can channel the queen in your reading if you want to speak to her direct. I did that yesterday with somebody who was so pleased about that. And you can interact with us through Patreon, Remote Viewing and Beyond. All the interviewers are on Discord, or they do check the Patreon and get the suggestion. So thank you.